Have you ever wanted to drive yourself crazy by imagining a very exciting yet ambitious project, but you think, hey, it'll be perfectly fine, I can definitely do that, that's within my skill set, and then you try to do it, you even enlist the help of other people to help you do it, and it still takes forever and drives you crazy, and you wonder at the end of it, was that worth it? This is the journey of the Squishmallow blanket. Spoilers, but I finished. And I'm recording this intro at the end of it, and this has broken me. This project has broken me. This project has interrupted my regular upload schedule because of how long it's freaking taken me, but that's okay. We're done. I'm done. I'm done. I don't have to do it anymore. I don't. I'd love to take you through the process today of how I made the most wretched abomination that a human mind could even conjure up. Are you ready? Please, I am desperately begging you to like this video and subscribe because I am broken. I don't know what I'm even gonna. I don't have any videos planned. I don't have anything ready to go. This has been all I've been doing. I don't have anything ready. I don't know what I'm gonna do. Please like this video. And another way that you could support a very tired and sleepy Raven right now is to check out my merch shop and my Cameo linked down below. Those are some great ways to support me if you would like. But without further ado, let's get into this abomination and all of the Squishmallow sacrifices and surgery that I did. After finding a very suspicious listing of these unicorn Squishmallows in bulk on Facebook Marketplace, I was finally ready to tackle the project I had been wanting to do for months. Armed with the tiniest seam ripper known to man and my friend Mary, we got to work, well, Mary got to work while I drank a smoothie, by seam ripping a small opening into all of the Squishmallows. Mary made the incision and then I got started removing all of the vital organs. The Squishmallow organ black market these days isn't what it used to be, so we decided to put all of the stuffing straight into the trash. I mean, not really, I did keep all of it because I'm sure that I'll find some cursed way to use it in the future. And admittedly, probably one of my top 10 worst choices of this year was to wear black pants while I was doing this, because let me tell you, the stuffing went absolutely everywhere. Once the stuffing was removed from a Squishmallow, I would twirl them around like so in a smooth circular motion. This actually does absolutely nothing. I was just messing around. I think we're gonna need more trash bags. Soon after, all the Squishmallows had incisions, and Mary and I tag teamed the de-stuffing of the squish. Now Mary, she has a very special set of skills, and these skills are why I chose her for this project. Well, more like begged her to help me. You see, Mary actually knows how to sew, like real professional, legit kind of sewing. And I didn't know how exactly I would turn these round three-dimensional Squishmallow plushies into flat pieces for a blanket. But Mary had the skills and the know-how, and she was able to guide me on our Joann's shopping trip when I was preparing for this video. She also did most of the fabric cutting later on, as you will see, because I was too nervous to do it. After all of our Squishmallow de-stuffing, we ended up with two giant, tightly packed trash bags full of Squishmallow stuffing. Yeah, you gotta lay out the skins. Like dollar bills. And naturally, when you have this many Squishmallow skins, you have to make a Squishmallow unicorn skin summoning circle and question your life choices. What have we done? You can also stand in the middle of it for good luck. Moving on, it was time to completely deconstruct the Squishmallows. We were completely seam ripping the front piece and the back piece apart from each other, me armed with a tiny seam ripper and Mary with a pair of mediocre craft scissors because we forgot to get another seam ripper at Joann's. And we just chilled on the floor doing this for many hours, listening to K-pop and shooing away my cats who kept getting in the middle of everything. Oh, I did it! Yeah! Yes! And then this was the point where things got completely unhinged.
That is horrifying. I'm scared.
Am I in the camera viewfinder?
Yes. Oh my god, that is actually so scary. New Halloween costume just dropped.
I crack up every time I watch that clip back, oh my god. Anyways, now we are slicing and dicing these poor victims. We're using a 10-inch quilt block thingy, I forget what it's called, to guide us. Mary was slicing these up into squares. Pepper was being nosy and interrupting our chaos as usual. See, look at that perfect square. And I was working on putting holes on the edges of all the squish squares so that I could crochet into them later. See, little holes. This is where my crochet hook is gonna go into later. So let's get started on that. I wanted to use a neutral colored yarn, but with a little flair. So I'm gonna use this Big Twist Sparkle in white. It has sparkles, like, need I say more? I thought it was very on theme with the unicorns, so I'm going to go straight into those holes that I made with a size 4mm crochet hook, and this yarn is a worsted weight yarn. I'm using half double crochet stitches and going in a pattern of 1 half double crochet, increase, repeated all the way around. At the corner, I put 1 half double crochet into the hole, chain 2, and then put another half double crochet into the same hole as I turn to the next side. And none of that probably makes any sense if you don't crochet, so sorry, but if you do crochet, I hope that's interesting or helpful or something. This is the part that took me the longest, just making these borders around 20 squares of sacrificed Squishmallow fabric, and sometimes I would procrastinate it, so it's kind of been a while since I started on this, but thankfully it is now done. Here's a closer shot of the crocheting I was doing into the squish skins, and in regular speed so you can actually see what I'm doing. Here I'm showing you how I turn the corners, and it's probably not even that interesting, but I really need to put these clips in here because I need to justify the hours and hours and hours of work that I spent on this project somehow. I was crocheting around these things for hours a day, just putting on YouTube video after YouTube video to watch while I was doing it. Pepper would join me on occasion, but usually he's not really that helpful. Also, please ignore my messy desk and cables. At this point, I can't be bothered because all aspects of my life are in various stages of disaster, but I will admit, my desk probably does need a good clean soon. And then I also attempted to even out the Squishmallow squares with this technique called blocking. You pretty much stretch out and pin your pieces if they're uneven, and you pin them so that they're evened out, and then you either steam them or spray them with water and then let them dry. I didn't have time to wet all of them and wait for all of them to dry, so I tried to steam them, but then I discovered that my iron actually does not have a steam function. It just sprays straight up water out of a little hole. What is the point of that? Anyways, after that fail, all the skins were done and ready to be sewn together. It was pretty satisfying holding all of them like a big stack of cash, and yeah, let's just get into it. I started out by laying everything down on the floor just to get an idea of how I was going to arrange all the squares. At first, I didn't do any sort of pattern, but once I had them all down, I did some rearranging and came up with this pattern. Isn't it the best thing that you've ever seen? Now we move on to the most dreaded part, the sewing. I decided to sew this blanket together by first sewing a line of the Squishmallow skins together in a column, and then we sew all of the columns together. I just hate sewing. It takes so long and it's so annoying, and it means I have to weave in all of the ends at this stage too, which I also hate. But I managed to be a brave girl and finish the sewing, which meant we could move on and finish off the rest of the columns. Excuse me, what is this? What's going on here? Excuse me. Yeah, why are you here? Huh? Okay, well, you didn't have to say that, but fine. At this point, I ran out of yarn, and I had to make the anticipated return trip to the craft store. I thought I knew where the yarn was, but I couldn't freaking find it, but it's okay. I found it, and I grabbed 2 for good measure because I was not about to run out again. Also, can someone please explain why this chair was just here, ominously, in the paint aisle? So now that I have sewn all of the squares into long strips, now it is time for us to sew all of the strips together in order to make the blanket one piece, you know? So I have this much yarn before I have to crack into another skein of yarn. So let's see if this can get me through sewing 2 strips together. I kind of doubt it, but we shall see. It is kind of annoying to like use a super long piece of yarn to sew something, so I think I will cut this up into smaller pieces just for like ease of sewing. Let's get into it. I'm gonna angle you down a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. I really wasn't precise when it comes to the amount of stitches that are on each square, like Squishmallow square. Like, I kind of just winged it for all of them, and if I was smart, I would have made sure that each square had the same exact number of stitches, because that would have made this current portion much easier, because if one side has 52 and the other side has 57, then there's not like an exact stitch lineup for me to sew all of them together. So then I have to do some like little tricky finagling sewing type of stuff to make everything line up, and you know what I mean. Like, it needs to have the same number of stitches so that it looks good. So there's already been a few squares where I had to make it work because either I don't know, had like really tight tension and one side was shorter than the other for some of the squares, or I just put too many or too little stitches even though I didn't really count. But you know, I've already had some issues, and that's what happens when you kind of freehand things. Like, it can work out, but you can also run into some issues because you're not being precise. So yeah, for something like a blanket where you have to sew the same size square together over and over, it really does help to be precise. Anyways, I'm hoping that I can finish this today. This has truly been taking me so much longer than I thought. I really don't make crochet blankets that much. I haven't made a crochet blanket in years. I think I made one back in 2020. So yeah, and that one was not a blanket where you sew a bunch of pieces together. That was just a circle blanket where I went around and around and around, and it wasn't too bad. So been a little bit of a challenge, and even though this isn't a purely crochet blanket, it still has the elements of a purely crocheted blanket with all the sewing and stuff like that. So it's been fun. It's been a challenge, and again, there's been some mistakes I've ran into along the way, but it's been fun. Well, this is as far as I have sewn so far, about one square length and a little bit like an inch further than that, and it's taken me 6 minutes so far. Okay, I just finished sewing the first two panels together, so if I could grab this is what we're looking like. Wow. Oh my goodness. So yeah, now I have to sew the next two panels, so let's get to work. I just finished sewing on the next strip, and oh my god, this actually looks like a blanket now. We're getting somewhere. We're getting somewhere. Look at this. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Okay, one more to go. This has been going by pretty quick, I would say, so it's really not that bad, but one final one, and then we move on to the next stage. There's still more to do. We're not even done after this. Okay, the blanket is all put together. Now I'm gonna try to put a backing on it. We got this really cute fabric that pretty much matches, although in a more pastel tone, the like rainbow multicolored unicorns that are on here. I think I'm going to measure this at the widest point on length and width because it's so wonky, but we'll just go with the widest point. That way it's not gonna be like scrunching, and then I'm gonna cut a piece of fabric the same length with a seam allowance, and then make holes in it, crochet a border on that, and then crochet both pieces together. I don't know, I'm gonna try. That's really what I'm gonna do. I think the widest point is at the bottom down here, so let's see. 45 inches. Let's check the top as well, just in case. 47. Okay, I think I'm gonna go 47 then. And then across, let's see, I'm just gonna go straight down the middle. Okay, just about 52. Let's check both edges, see if that lines up. About 54 on this side, okay, and 54 on this side. Yeah, I'm just gonna kind of figure that out, do a little bit of math, cut out the fabric, hope for the best. And then at this point it was getting really late and I was like not really recording that many clips, but I cut the fabric, put holes in it, and then started crocheting a border around the edges of it. And then we were going to take that fabric and the actual squish blanket and crochet it all together, of course. I just crocheted through both edges of the fabric backing and of the front face of the blanket, and we just joined both pieces together. And all I have left to do is put some stitches through both sides this just so it doesn't like billow open like a hot pocket, if that makes sense. But after all of this, after all of my suffering, I was finally done, and here is how the Squishmallow blanket turned out. So cursed. So unbelievably cursed. Why did I do this? I don't know, but it was really fun and I hope you enjoyed it. And a big shout out and thank you to Mary for helping me with it because I couldn't have done it without her expertise. But that is going to be it for this video. I am so glad that I'm done recording this. I'm gonna go to sleep. Please like the video, subscribe. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.